matchless gift. We all like to give gifts to our friends and relatives, and the more we are intimately connected, more close we are, we would like to give the most valuable gift to whomever we love. In this material world, the most intimate relation is between husband and wife. What can a husband give to his wife? The most valuable gift. We shall understand today. There is a nice pastime in Srimad Bhagavatam about exalted husbands and wives. Today I shall describe one such pastime. During the time of creation, Lord Brahma, he created many great sages and ordered them to increase progeny in this world. And Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa were the progenitors of mankind. Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, they had 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. The sons were Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 daughters were Devahuti, Prasuti and Akuti. Priyavrata was a great devotee. He went to the forest to perform austerities, and Uttanapada was ruling on behalf of his father. Later on, Priyavrata also was called back to rule over. And he ruled the whole world on behalf of his father, and at the same time he performed devotional services. Now, daughters, Devahuti was one of the daughters. She was extremely beautiful and qualified. She was so beautiful that while she was playing on the top of the palace roof, sometimes the devatas would fly in their airplanes. So one devata by name Vishwavasu, looking at her beauty, was so charmed that he fell from the airplane. She was so beautiful. And as a loving father, he was looking for a bridegroom for her daughter. And Narad Muni would travel everywhere. So Narad Muni had told Devahuti that there is one great sage, Kardama. He is a good match for you. And just by hearing Kardama Muni's qualities, Devahuti had fixed her mind on him. Kardama also was son of Brahma, born of Brahma's shadow. And he was also ordered by Brahma to increase progeny in this material world. So in order to do that, he was executing severe austerities to please the Supreme Lord, so that he can have a suitable wife to do that service, which was ordered by his father. So he was performing severe austerities, and being pleased by his austerities, the Supreme Lord appeared. And then he blessed him, he was very pleased. And then he asked him to tell me what you want. Then Kardama said, I need a like-minded wife, so that she can assist me in my duties. Then the Lord said, day after tomorrow, Swayambhuva Manu will come with his daughter. She is a suitable wife for you, you accept her. And then the Lord went away. So Swayambhuva Manu came with his wife Shatarupa and his daughter Devahuti. Swayambhuva Manu also was informed by Brahma, I think, that you can hand over your daughter to Kardama Muni. So they brought Devahuti, and then they both exchanged greetings. And then Swayambhuva Manu told that I brought my daughter to hand her over to you. And Kardama also was glad enough, because already the Supreme Lord had told that she is a suitable match for you. So that is why husbands and wives, before the match is selected, their mentality is checked by matching their horoscope. If the horoscope doesn't match, their mentalities will not match, and there will be some disturbance in their family life. So having a suitable wife means the mentality of husband and wife has to match. So here in this case, Devahuti was like-minded and marriage happened. So before marriage, Empress Shatarupa lovingly gave most valuable presents suitable for the occasion, such as jewelry, clothes, household articles, in dowry to the bride and the bridegroom. So dowry was given during marriage ceremonies out of love for the daughter. So it's explained by Prabhupada. The custom of giving one's daughter in charity with a dowry is still current in India. The gifts are given according to the position of the father of the bride. So here Kardama Muni was married with full opulence to a qualified wife and was endowed with the necessary paraphernalia for household life. In the Vedic way of marriage, such a dowry is still given to the bridegroom by the father of the bride. Even in poverty-stricken India, there are marriages where hundreds and thousands of rupees are spent for a dowry. The dowry system is not illegal, as some have tried to prove. The dowry is a gift given to the daughter by the father to show goodwill, and it is compulsory. In rare cases, where the father is completely unable to give a dowry, it is enjoined that he must at least give a fruit and a flower. What to do sometimes? Father may be poor, he cannot give any dowry. So he should at least give one fruit and a flower, but compulsory. So taking advantage of this injunction, sometimes people out of greed, they torture the girl. Sometimes they marry and then start torturing her. Go and get one side now. Go and get some necklace. So that is not the system. Dowry means out of goodwill, out of love for the daughter, father gives something, whatever he is able to give, not by force. If he is poor, he can give one fruit or flower. So that is the system. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, God can also be pleased even by a fruit and a flower. When there is financial inability and no question of accumulating a dowry by another means, one can give a fruit and a flower for the satisfaction of the bridegroom. Because father is handing over the daughter to the bridegroom, now it is his responsibility to take care of her whole life. So to show that gratitude to the bridegroom, the father of the bride has to give something to satisfy him. So here, Shatarupa, being the empress, wife of Swayambhuva Manu, she gave most valuable presents to satisfy her daughter. And then they went away to their capital. Here what happened, after the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. So here Prabhupada is writing, Parvati or Bhavani was daughter of King of Himalayas, but she selected Lord Shiva as her husband. Shiva appears to be just like a beggar, because he doesn't have his own home, neither is he wears any jewelry. But still, Bhavani, Parvati selected him as his wife. So it's explained, although Bhavani was the daughter of a very great king, she used to serve Lord Shiva just like a poor woman. Similarly, Devahuti was daughter of an emperor, Swayambhuva Manu, yet she preferred to accept Kardama Muni as her husband. She served him with great love and affection, and she knew how to please him. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhvi, which means a chaste, faithful wife. Her rare example is the ideal of Vedic civilization. So her example is ideal. Every woman is expected to be as good and chaste as Devahuti or Bhavani. Today, in Hindu society, unmarried girls are still taught to worship Lord Shiva with the idea that they may get husbands like him. Lord Shiva is the ideal husband, not in the sense of riches or sense gratification, but because he is the greatest of all devotees. So husband's character is mentioned here. He should be like Shiva. Like Shiva, not in terms of sense gratification or riches, but in devotion. He should be a pure devotee. Lord Shiva is always meditating on the Supreme Lord Krishna. And wife should be like Bhavani, chaste and loving. Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. So here is explained. Here two words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in two ways, Vishrambhena and Gauravena. These are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambhena means with intimacy and Gauravena means with great respect. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position and thus she must offer him all respect. A man's psychology and woman's psychology are different. As constituted by bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband wants to post himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vishrambhena means with intimacy, but it must not be familiarity that breeds contempt. Intimacy does not mean you become too familiar with the husband and now start ordering. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. In the present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name. But in Hindu civilization, she does not. Thus, the inferiority and superiority complexes are recognized. Damenacha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Saupradena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, in his home life, he must be treated by his wife with sweet words. So these are all the duties of a wife. At the same time, husband also should be like Lord Shiva, a devotee of Krishna. He cannot expect the wife to be serving him and he does all nonsense. That's not the way. Both of them should cooperate, and their duties are designated because their body and mind are different. So, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her husband, her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, envy, greed, sinful activities and vanity. Here are some of the qualities of a great husband's great wife. Kardama Muni is great by spiritual qualification. Such a husband is called Teji Ansam, most powerful. Although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. Sometimes it happens that the wife comes from a very rich family, as did Devahuti, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhuva Manu. She could have been very proud of her parentage, but that is forbidden. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up all vanity. As soon as the wife becomes proud of her parentage, her pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said here that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. The most sinful activity for a wife is to accept another husband or another lover. Chanakya Pandita has described 4 kinds of enemies at home. At home for a man there are 4 types of relatives: father, mother, wife and children. There are the 4 types of relatives at home. So a man can have 4 enemies. Rinakarta Pita Shatru. Father is enemy if he has lots of loans, and poor son has to repay all those loans. So father is considered an enemy if he has lots of loans. Mata Shatru Vyabhicharini. Mother is an enemy if she is having relation with someone else. So how can the son walk in the road? People will criticize him. Your mother is a prostitute, isn't it? And then wife is an enemy. Bharya Shatru Apriyavadini. Wife is an enemy who speaks harshly to the husband. Poor fellow has gone out and worked hard and is coming home with all fatigue and tiredness, and sometimes he would have fought outside also with some people. And he comes home, one more war began here inside. So Bharya Shatru Apriyavadini, always harsh words. So she is an enemy. And Putra Shatru Apanditaha. Son is an enemy if he is a fool. Pass mark adu tarakagalla. Can't you bring at least passing marks? Look at the neighbor's son. He is getting every time 100 out of 100. So father has to break his head. How much to train him up we don't know. There are so many tuitions we send, still is not improving. I personally am sitting hours together to teach, still is not improving. So parents have to worry because he is fool, he is not able to understand. So a son is an enemy, he is a fool. So if a man can have all these 4 people, a very good son, good wife, good father, good mother, that means he is really very fortunate. So Devahuti understood her husband and she forgot all her parental position. As soon as she got married, she gave up all the pride that she was daughter of a great emperor, and she adopted the mentality of her husband at home. The daughter of Manu who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater even than Providence. Thus, she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Kardama, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love. Looking at her condition, Kardama himself became compassionate. Kardama said, "O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf." She was so much absorbed in serving the husband that she neglected her own body. She grew weak and thin. So looking at her selfless service, Kardama was extremely pleased and he wanted to reward her. So he's telling, "I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharge of my own religious life of austerity, meditation and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. So Kardama Muni, he had pleased the Supreme Lord and he had received the blessings of the Lord. He had achieved perfection. So he wanted to give that achievement to his own wife. And that gift is free from lamentation and free from all fear. When someone gives gift to us, we become very pleased, isn't it? Bigger the box, more pleasure. So our eagerness increases. I have to open and see what is there inside. And then we cut open and see. Someone would have given wristwatch. Very nice. I can wear it from tomorrow. Someone would have given maybe household articles, cooker, stove, and mixie, and many kinds of things. But that pleasure what we get in opening that gift box and looking at those items, it is temporary. Isn't it? Once you see, your pleasure is over. Okay, keep it aside. That's all. But here, what is the gift Kardama is giving to his wife? Here he is telling in the next verse, what is the use of enjoyments other than the grace of the Lord? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu. Whatever material gifts you may give, they are all subject to annihilation. And that first of all, that will never satisfy the soul. You may give a diamond ring to your wife. See, oh dear, I vow, and I have purchased great diamond ring for you. And the wife, oh my dear husband, you are so lovable. Tomorrow she will ask one more ring. Day after tomorrow she will ask one more ring. Give me necklace. So these material varieties will never end because that's not going to satisfy the soul. So Kardama is telling what is the use of such enjoyments other than the Lord's grace. And what is this Lord's grace? Prabhupada explains, this Lord's grace is Krishna Prema. Awakening love of God in the heart is Lord's grace. If someone has received Lord's grace means he has awakened his love for the Supreme Lord Krishna. So Kardama had that love of God and he gave that love of God to his wife because he was pleased with her service. Why this love of God is important? Because Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai andhakar. Yaha Krishna taha nahi Maya radhika. Krishna is like blazing sun and Maya is darkness. We in this material world, we are all deeply immersed in darkness of ignorance. And what is the deep darkness of ignorance? The deep darkness of ignorance is thinking that I am this body. First ignorance. Thinking that I am this body. And bodily pleasures are real. These are all expansions of that ignorance. And working hard to fulfill the demands of the senses. Extension of that ignorance. And then considering my wife. She is my wife, such a beautiful wife. And trying to fulfill her desires. And then my children. These are all the expansions of that ignorance. And people are repeatedly trying to satisfy their own senses, the senses of their own relatives, and they are not able to get out of it. Again and again and again they are suffering. So, if we can give this gift, love of God, then what happens? Just like as sun rises, immediately darkness disappears. In the same way, when love for Krishna arises in the heart, immediately the ignorance that I am this body disappears. And Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha. He is supreme Sat, Chit and Ananda. When we touch him, complete knowledge awakens in our heart. He is supreme Chit. He is the bestower of all knowledge. And when I come in touch with him, all my ignorance about life gets destroyed. And as a result of having that complete knowledge that I am part of Krishna, my pleasure is in serving Krishna, automatically all the hope and faith in material pleasures will disappear. And Krishna is supreme Ananda. When I come in touch with Krishna, the love and devotion, that unlimited bliss for which we are anchoring, we will receive. So this was the gift which Kardama gave to his most beloved wife. He didn't give some ordinary material things. He gave the supreme, matchless gift to his wife. Now Kardama Muni himself, to achieve this supreme gift, he performed severe austerities in the forest for many years. And his wife, she performed faithful service, giving up lust and controlling her senses, envy and jealousy. Very faithfully, she served, neglecting her own body to receive that gift from her husband. But you see the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to give this gift without any consideration. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't consider, did it perform any austerity or not? He didn't consider. That is why he is called Patita Pavana. He is the deliverer of the most fallen conditioned souls. So once what happened, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went and met Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is considered to be Nama Acharya, and Haridas Thakur always chants the holy name. So he met Haridas Thakur and he asked him. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Haridas Thakur as usual, and in the course of his discussion he inquired as follows. Haridasa, Kalikale Yavana Apara, Go Brahmane Himsa Kare Maha Durachara. He said, my dear Thakura, Haridasa, in this age of Kali, most people are bereft of Vedic culture and therefore they are called Yavanas. They are concerned only with killing cows and Brahminical culture. Two things they do. They kill cows and kill Brahminical culture. They don't follow any rules and regulations given in the Vedas. In this way, they all engage in sinful acts. Iha sapara kon mate haive nistara, tahara hetu na dekhe ye dukkha para. He says, how will these Yavanas be delivered? To my great unhappiness, I do not see any way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood we can understand here. So Prabhupada writes here, this verse reveals the significance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of all the fallen souls. Srila Narottama Dasa Thakura sings, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara. O my Lord, you have appeared just to deliver all the fallen souls. Mosama Patita Prabhu na paive ara. Among all the fallen souls, I am the lowest. How Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls is shown by the statement, Ye dukkha apara. It is my great unhappiness. This statement indicates that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, is always very unhappy to see the fallen souls in the material world. Therefore, he himself comes as he is, or he comes as a devotee in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver love of Krishna directly to the fallen souls. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he not only gives knowledge of Krishna, but By his practical activities, he teaches everyone how to love Krishna. Krishna Prema Pradayate. Those who are following the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should take Lord's mission very seriously. In this age of Kali, people are gradually becoming less than animals. Nevertheless, although they are eating the flesh of cows under envious of Brahminical culture, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considering how to deliver them from this horrible condition of life. Thus, he asks all Indians to take up his mission. Bharata bhumite haila manushya janmayara janma sarthaka kari kar paravapakara. So you can see the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though he knows in Kali Yuga all are sinful, they are killing the most sacred animal, cow, and killing Brahminical culture, which is very dear to Lord Krishna, still he has come to give Krishna Prema to them, because he is not happy looking at the fallen souls. So he asked this question to Haridasa, how can these sinful people be delivered? Haridasa kahe, now Haridasa replied, Prabhu, chinta na kariha, yavanera samsara dekhi, Dukkha na bhaviha. Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. Do not be unhappy to see the condition of the Yavanas in material existence. So Prabhupada writes here, these two words of Haridas Thakur are just befitting a devotee who has dedicated his life and soul to the service of the Lord. The Lord is feeling unhappy because the fallen souls are suffering. And a devotee who has dedicated himself to serve him, this is how he has to pacify the Lord. If you tell the Lord, my dear Lord, you don't worry, I am there. You be happy. Prabhupada is writing here, when the Lord is unhappy because of the condition of the fallen souls, the devotee consoles him, saying, my dear Lord, do not be in anxiety. This is service. Everyone should adopt the cause of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to try to relieve him from the anxiety he feels. This is actually service to the Lord. One who tries to relieve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's anxiety for the fallen souls is certainly a most dear and confidential devotee of the Lord. So, it is our duty to pacify the Lord and say, my dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, don't worry. Don't be in anxiety. I will serve you. I will spread your mission. I will practice whatever you have told, and I will make everyone chant Hare Krishna. So when we tell this to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is service. So Haridasa replied, Yavana sakalera mukti haive anayase harama bali kahe nama bhase. Because the Yavanas are accustomed to saying harama, that means, O Lord Ramachandra, they will very easily be delivered by this nama bhasa. Mahapreme bhakta kahe harama. Yavanera bhagya dekha layase nama. A devotee in advanced ecstatic love exclaims, O Lord Ramachandra, in ecstasy, Haram, Haram. But the Yavanas also chant Haram, Haram, just see their good fortune. In their language, in Yavanas language, Haram means abominable. In their normal course of conversation, they utter these words. Even though they are not chanting the Lord's name, not indicating the Lord while chanting, but still they are uttering that words. So he is telling, Yadyapi anya sankete anya haya nama bhasa tatapi namera tejana haya vinasha. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, he said, his authority on chanting the holy name. He said, the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of nama bhasa. The Yavanas, they say haram, haram while they are conversing. you know. But that's an instance of nama bhasa because it's not directly indicating the Lord, but still it's the Lord's name. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. Tatapi namena teja na haya vinasha. So, Haridasa gives one reference from Nrsimha Purana. Damshri damshahato lecho parameti punah punaha utvapi mukti mapnoti kim punah shraddhaya grinan. Even a mlecha who is being killed by the tusk of a boar and who cries in great distress again and again, haram, haram, attains liberation. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? So in this way, Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, you don't worry, Yavanas will be very easily delivered because they chant the holy name even in the form of Nama Bhasa. What to speak of those who chant with great devotion. So we should all take this matchless gift, most valuable gift, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, they have come to deliver. They both together have come. So Lochandas Thakura has glorified Gaur Nitai in his song Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra. These two avatars, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, are most munificent, Parama Karuna, most merciful. Why? Sabhavatara Sara Shiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda. Among all the incarnations of the Lord, they are the crest jewel because they just have come to flood ocean of bliss in this world. And they say, Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudruda Vishwasa Kari Vishaya Chadiya Serase Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. So, Lochandas Thakura is telling, my dear brother, simply chant the names of Chaitanya and Nityananda and give up sense gratification. Simply in your mouth chant Hari Hari, chant the holy names. Dekho Re Bhai, Tribhuvane Nai, Yemona Dayala Data. And Pashupaki Jure, Pashana Vidare, Shuniyara Gunagatha. Samsare Majiya, Rahili Padiya, Sepade Nahilo Asha, Apana Karama, Bunjaya Shamana, Kahi Lochana Dasa. I'll read the purport written by Prabhupada, very nicely as explained. This is a song by Lochandas Thakura. Pahu means Lord and Duijana means two. Lochandas Thakura declares that the two Lords, Nitai Gaura Chandra, Lord Nitai and Lord Chaitanya, are very merciful. Parama Karuna. Sabhavatara Sara Shiromani. Avatara means incarnation and Sabha means all. They are the essence of all incarnations. The specific significance of these incarnations is that prosecuting their way of self-realization is simply joyful. Kevala Ananda Kanda. For they introduced chanting and dancing. There are many incarnations like Lord Rama and even Krishna who taught Bhagavad Gita, which requires knowledge and understanding. But Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda introduced a process that is simply joyful, simply chant and dance. Therefore, Lochandas requests everyone, Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. Don't think that this chanting and dancing will not lead to the desired goal. It will. It is the assurance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that one will get all perfection by this process. Therefore, one must chant with faith and conviction, Vishwasakari, Sudrida Vishwasakari. But what is the process? The process is Vishaya Chadiya Serase Majiya. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. That is the only restriction. If one gives up sense gratification, it is sure that he will reach the desired goal. Mukhe bolo Hari Hari. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hari Hari, without any motive of sense gratification. Dekho ore bhai, Tribhuvane nai. Lochan Das Thakura says, my dear brother, you just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda, because their merciful qualities are so great that they make even birds and bees cry, what to speak of human beings. Pashupake jure, Ashana vidale. Actually, when Lord Chaitanya passed through the forest known as Jharikhanda, the tigers, elephants, snakes, deer and all other animals joined him in chanting Hare Krishna. It is so nice that anyone can join. Even the animals can join, what to speak of human beings. Of course, it is not possible for ordinary men to induce animals to chant. But if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could inspire animals to chant, at least we can encourage human beings to adopt this path of Hare Krishna mantra chanting. It is so nice that even the most stone-hearted man will be melted. Pashana means stone. It is so nice that even stone will melt. But Lochan Das Thakura regrets that he is entrapped by sense gratification. He addresses himself, my dear mind, you are entrapped in the sense gratification process and you have no attraction for chanting Hare Krishna. Since you have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, what can I say? I can simply think of my misfortune. Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this moment. So, such a nice song written by Lochan Das Thakura. One restriction, give up sense gratification and simply chant Hare Krishna mantra. If you are unable to give up sense gratification, don't worry, chant Hare Krishna mantra, you will give up sense gratification. So, such a nice song. We will sing this song now.
Vishaya
They came to give us this matchless gift because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loves us so much. He loves us unlimitedly and he came to give us the most matchless gift, love of God, and the process is simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And Srila Prabhupada, he took this love of God throughout the world and distributed this holy name. So Srila Prabhupada, he loved us so much in his old age, with all the difficulties, without caring for his bodily miseries. He took the challenge with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. He went all over the world and distributed this holy name. So it is our duty to take this mercy, chant the holy name seriously, attentively, and distribute this holy name to everyone in this world. So now we will chant Hare Krishna mantra 108 times. Those who have come for the first time, I request all of you to start chanting the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, at least 108 times. Before chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we chant Panchatattva mantra at least once in the beginning. So kindly repeat after me. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya.